Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am really grateful and thankful to Rotarians for giving a teacher a chance to share his thoughts with distinguished Rotarians who have come from South Asia. When I think of Rotary, I think of so many friends. In this gathering, I see many eminent Rotarians who are my friends, who were my students at Ferguson College, who were students in one other institutions of symbiosis. Take for example, Rotarian S.K. Jain. He is the reason for me to be here this afternoon. I have weakness, and my weakness is I just can't say no to my friend S.K. Jain. Take for example Rotarian Y.K. Jejurikar. He was my student at Ferguson College, then he was a Rotarian, then he became my colleague in symbiosis, and you unanimously chose him to be district governor. Then there is Mukesh, Vivek, Kulkarni, and so many others. And the association between Rotary and symbiosis goes back to 1973-74. We started symbiosis in 1971 and we were passing through many teething troubles. And it was then that Appa Sahib Jog and Nududummi, then great Rotarians in those days, helped me to come over the teething troubles. Then I remember World President Mr. Sabo, whom I luckily met today. He visited symbiosis in 1991. He planted a tree, which Mr. Sabo, I am glad to tell you, its tree is still growing. And therefore I am glad to be with you, to share my thoughts of a teacher who spent in more than 50 years in education. Let me first congratulate all Rotarians for organizing this wonderful summit which we call South Asia Literacy Summit. You have already achieved one miracle, and that miracle is End Polio campaign. Perhaps the second miracle is going to be eradication of illiteracy. And this mission is perhaps more difficult than eradication of polio. But I am sure you will do it. And when it comes to literacy, you can't forget teacher. And teacher in India has a special position in the hearts and minds of Indians. Our Indian culture recognizes only three great individuals. Matra Deva Bhava, mother is form of God. Pitru Deva Bhava, father is God. Acharya Deva Bhava, teacher is God. And it is the teacher, ladies and gentlemen, who is the driving force in education, in literacy. And when it comes to literacy, I feel literacy is the barometer of economic development. Literacy literally means ability to read and write. But I call this literacy a basic literacy. But there are other types of literacies. Take, for example, computer literacy. To be able to perform computers, run computers. Cultural literacy. A cultured man may not be able to read and write, but his mind is so developed with compassion that he does possess a cultural literacy. And the last, and perhaps the most important literacy today, I will call it skill literacy. A person may be a graduate, postgraduate, but if he doesn't have any skill, I will call it illiterate. And therefore literacy has so many shades, so many colors. I am glad that in India, the rate of literacy is 74%. Kerala stands top, Bihar lowest. But the point is, how can we spread literacy? How can we achieve total literacy? And one way to spread literacy is to look at our villages. There are 6 lakhs villages in the country. And unless Rotarians think of some mechanism to reach to these villages and their villagers, I don't think India will be called a literate country. Because 70% population of India still lives in villages. And even the heart of Bharat Mata, as we call, is not in Bombay, Calcutta, Chennai, Pune, but it is in 6 lakh villages, ladies and gentlemen. And therefore, to me, the best tool of spreading literacy is e-learning. To establish e-vidyalayas, to establish virtual classrooms. And I am glad that my friend Mr. Jejurikar has done something to recognize the importance and significance of e-learning. But much more has to be done. But now I am coming to another form of literacy which I have just now mentioned. It is skill literacy. My dear Rotarians, allow me to share one thought with you. India is now passing through a very interesting period which we call demographic dividend. And the demographic dividend is a period when the birth rate falls, there is large working population of young men and women, and the aged population is less. South Korea had it, Indonesia had it, Thailand had it. And this demographic period comes once in a history. It is neither automatic nor permanent. But those countries which want to reap the advantages of demographic dividend must invest in health and education. And those who do not invest in health and education during demographic dividend, those countries remain behind, like Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, India is a young country. Even today, more than 50% Indian population is below 25. More than 69% of Indian population is below 35. And by 2030, more than 60% of Indian population will be below 25. And when this is the scenario in India, in Europe and America, the countries will be full of aging and aged population. And this is a great advantage of demographic dividend. These young minds, these young people must be converted into a great workforce for our country. And if we don't give them adequate skills, the demographic dividend may become demographic disaster. And in this connection, we must appreciate our Prime Minister's dream of Skill India. And this Skill India can assume so many forms. There are many sectors, medical sector, technology sector, humanities, social sciences and whatnot, even languages. And what we need, ladies and gentlemen, to make India a developed country is the skilled workforce. And therefore we need e-vidyalayas, e-schools, e-colleges, e-universities. Are there such e-universities anywhere in the country, in the world? And the answer is yes. In Germany, there are 162 vocational universities or skill universities. They are called universities of applied sciences. No wonder, among all European countries, Germany stands number one. China has more than 100 such skill universities. How come university doesn't have a single vocational university or skill university? And therefore all Rotarians must consider skill literacy on priority. They should start, or they should support those who wanted to start e-schools in villages, e-colleges in cities and e-universities in the countries. And if e-literacy is made universal, I think Rotary clubs will achieve a great dream. And therefore, today, I want you to ponder over the skill literacy of our country. I do not want to take much of your time. But at the end of my speech, I would like to read a paragraph from the acceptance speech which Malala delivered when she received Nobel Prize. She says, and I read and I quote, let us wage, I repeat, let us wage a glorious struggle against illiteracy, poverty and terrorism. Let us pick up our books and our pens. They are the most powerful weapons. And what follows is more important. One child, one teacher, one book and one pen can change the world. Education is the only education first. With these few words, I thank Rotarians for giving me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts, and I wish this summit a great success. Thank you.